Good morning and welcome to the weekend. It's Saturday morning and it's still a bit dark outside, it seems like it's getting darker earlier and earlier. Well, later, I should say. It's staying darker later, which I should be used to at this time of year, but it always takes me by surprise. Anyway, how are you feeling today? What are your energy levels like? Maybe just take a few breaths and start to notice that for yourself this morning. Notice what your breathing is like this morning. Just let your thoughts kind of settle in, settle down to just being in this space with your body this morning. Taking a few moments just for yourself before maybe a busy day, whatever you've got going on. Maybe you're just relaxing today, but just taking these 30 minutes to really focus on you. We're actually going to start today the same way that we did yesterday. So you're going to take your ball and you're just going to place it right underneath your two sitting bones, right in between them, so that you feel like you can sit right on top. Again, it's this image of like being a chicken sitting over an egg. So you don't want to feel like you're tipping back or tipping forward, or it's more to one side or to the other. Bring it right into the center and start to take some deeper breaths. See if you can get that breath to come down right to where the ball is underneath you. So you might need to take a longer inhalation followed by a deeper, longer exhalation. Few breaths like that, really nice and deep here. So at the moment right now, we're not too worried about our posture, sitting up really straight. Just want you to see if you can kind of let everything settle here onto your chair. I should have said that before. We want to be seated onto a chair with your feet resting nice and settled into the floor, so you feel like you don't have to like put your legs in a funny position to hold you there. Morning, Rod. Nice to see you this morning. And just taking a few more breaths like this. And then what if you were to begin to think about making your spine a little bit longer here? So you could get your sitting bones kind of right underneath you. You can really feel where they are with the ball right between them. Start to think about creating a lot of length. So if you imagine the foundations of a building, you could imagine that your sitting bones are like those foundations and they're rooting down so that you could start to build your spine up from there. So you've got your lumbar spine, which are those 5 big blocky vertebrae that create the base of support for the rest of the spine to grow tall on top of. You've got your thoracic spine, which is where all your rib cage are connected to. So you've got 12 of those. You could think of your building getting taller and taller with each one of those vertebrae like another floor of your building. And then finally, you're getting up to the vertebra of the neck. So you could think of those 7 vertebrae like the floors near the top of the building. You could imagine maybe a building in London or something with really good views, looking out every which way. And finally, you get up to your penthouse suite, which is your skull, your head sitting right on top of your spine. So this is where you can really see everything this is where you get your best views. And you can just take a little look around, notice what you can see from the top of your building. As you're sitting here upright, notice how tall you've gotten. And now take a few breaths. See if you can, again, take your breath a little bit deeper. Now that you've given yourself all this space in your torso, just letting the shoulders be nice and relaxed. Try not to get them involved. And then see if you can keep this uprightness of the spine and just slowly think about widening the sitting bones. So you're going to let them get a little bit wider apart, and then start to draw them back together. So whatever that looks like for you, it may not be a huge movement at all, but just think about beneath you, you're creating more space for that ball to widen, or yeah, you're widening the space for that ball beneath you, and then you're just gently drawing it back together. So just try that a few times. I notice for that myself, it gently tips me back over the surface of the ball and then brings me back upright. But if that doesn't happen for you, that's absolutely fine. Might be so minuscule a movement that you're not really going anywhere. Just try that a couple times. See if you can keep the length and the tallness of your spine as you're doing this little movement. Nice big deep breaths. Might be nice to inhale as you're tipping back and exhale to grow tall. See if that breathing pattern works for you. Or, sorry, drawing the sitting bones apart and back together. And then let's just start to get the arms involved. So you're going to inhale, you're going to let your arms lift all the way up to the ceiling. You're going to exhale and you're going to release them back down. So you're inhaling, you're drawing the sitting bones apart. Exhaling, you're drawing them back together. Keep on going with that. Now let's think about the sitting bones and those lower ribs drawing apart. And then exhale, lower ribs and sitting bones draw back together. Sitting bones and ribs drawing apart as your arms come up. Exhaling, they're drawing back together. And then right in the middle, we're going to think about these hips also drawing apart. So sitting bones, hips, and ribs drawing apart. They're getting a bit wider. Exhale and just gently draw them back together. 3 more times. Sitting bones, hips, and ribs. And then ribs, sitting bones, and hips. Twice more. Last time. And then just find your place right over the top of that ball. Again, I'm going to take both arms up again. Nice big deep breath as you're growing taller, and then exhale, just start to rotate around to your right side. Your left hand will come down to your right knee, and your right arm will just fall somewhere behind you. And then inhale to come back up over the top of your ball. Exhale, let the arms fall down. Right hand to left knee as you gently turn around to the other side. We'll do that twice more to each side. Notice that my knees are staying in the same place. My torso, my pelvis isn't really moving. It's really just these upper ribs that we're trying to rotate through. Last time to each side. Nice big deep breath in. Reach with those arms. Exhale, let them come back down by the sides. Last time. Really nice. And then bring the arms back up and take them back down. Okay, last thing we'll do here while we're just sitting here is a little side bend like we did yesterday. Just preparing us for the next thing that we're going to do onto the chair. But let's lift both arms up again. Nice big deep breath in. As you're exhaling, reach up with your right hand. Let your left hand start to fall down and reach down towards the floor. And it's this opposition that's going to give you this little side bend. Make sure to stand into both feet equally. Nice big deep breath. And then inhale back to center. Let the right arm fall down as the left arm reaches up. Really reach down to the floor and reach up to the ceiling. Make sure your head's right in the center of everything. We'll do that one more time to each side. Nice big deep breaths right into those ribs that are fanning open. Beautiful. And then come back to center. You can take that ball out from underneath you once more. Just notice how that feels to now. See if you can really sit up right into that tall building, the image of your building getting really tall again. Notice if your foundation now really feels nice and firm and steady underneath you. Okay, so from here, Start to take the legs a little bit wider and come up to sort of the edge of your chair. So you don't want to feel like you're falling off, but you do want to feel like you're a little bit farther forward. We're just going to do that same exercise of widening the sitting bones and then drawing them back together. And just notice if that feels different here with having your legs a little bit wider. And not having the ball underneath you. Maybe you have a little bit more room and space to do that. So just notice what that's like, doing this idea of drawing sitting bones apart and then just drawing them gently back together. Just do that a couple more times. And then come back up to the center, or, just having your sitting bones in a neutral, whatever that looks like for you, position. You're going to take yourself and turn over to one side so that your left, we'll do the left side, your left buttock and your left thigh are fully supported by your chair. And your right knee is just bent back behind you with your toes, if they can, at all possible, really tuck underneath you into the ground. And I just want you to see what that transition is like for you. So kind of turning from being in the front to being over here. Now, if any of this is problematic for your knees, go pretty easy here. Just find a position that's, fully supported for you. The point of having that chair there is to really feel like you don't have to support all of your weight onto any one of your legs, actually. So once you've kind of felt that a few times for yourself, really make sure both of your hips are facing forward here and that back leg is right behind you with your toes as firmly planted as you can get. You're going to start to reach back and try to straighten out that back leg and then just bend it. I'm going to do that a few times and really just notice, what's going on for you through your lower back. Try to keep lifted through the spine so that you're not feeling any compression here. You can always try bringing your leg a little bit closer towards you, and you don't have to fully straighten out. What we're really looking for is opening up through the front of this hip. So just see what happens here for you. You can really feel this starting to lengthen my quads as well. So once you've done that a few times, you're going to see if you can keep that leg as straight as possible and now just have a little pump of your heel. So we're reaching the heel back and then reaching it and then kind of coming over the toes a little bit as you come forward. Notice my leg isn't fully straight. Could try to straighten that, but it's quite a stretch for me. So just see how you go. Notice what the length of your leg is like this morning. And then we're going to bend into that knee again so that now you can lift up through that right arm once more. Really taking a deep breath in, letting your left hand plant down onto your chair so that you can do a little side bend over. Take a couple of breaths into this little side bend here. And then reaching back up with that arm, coming back down to the center, readjusting if you need to. Maybe you want to take a little stretch forward over the top of your other knee and really feel like you can reach your heel back on that side. And then come back up. We're going to reach back up with that right arm. Find some support with your left arm. I'm going to add in a little rotation if this feels good for your body this morning. So start to reach forward in a little diagonal away from your foot that's on the floor. So you should be getting this really nice long stretch from your fingertips all the way out through your toes. We're not collapsing down through that left side. Keep lifted with your left ribs as you're reaching with your right arm. And just take a couple of breaths here. And then come back into your side bend. Up and over, and we'll transition over to the other side. So before you do that, actually, let's come back into the center and just notice what that hip feels like compared to the one that you haven't done. I can feel that this one's really it feels almost like that can sit a bit deeper into my pelvis. This top part of my femur bone can really kind of slot into place there. So just notice what that's like for you. And we'll do this other side. So you're transitioning over. You might just kind of feel a little swivel here of coming from forward over to being with your right thigh and right buttock fully, completely supported by your chair. And just notice, what's your rotation like for your femur bone on this side of your thigh bone, turning as you're pivoting around. And then come to facing completely forward, and you're just going to see what it's like to start to bend and straighten the leg out behind you. For me, I notice I can get a little bit more range through this side. Or it feels a little bit like there's some more give through this side. So just notice again what that's like for you to transition over to your other leg. And we're going to keep that leg as straight as we can. Start to just really work through sending your heel back and kind of rolling through your toes if possible. So just kind of, I'm working with my leg rather than trying to move my body, working with my ankle and my foot. Make sure you're still breathing those nice big deep breaths. And then we're going to keep that leg a little bit bent so that you can lift up through that right arm. Take some lovely big deep breaths as you're starting to lean over to your right now. So let your right arm rest down, kind of pick up through these upper left ribs, and that'll just pick you up a little bit through your right side as well. No collapsing through your shoulder or your right rib cage. Take a couple of breaths there. And then come back up to center, rest that arm down for a moment before picking it back up, lifting up and over, and then adding in this rotation if that feels good for you. So you're leaning at a diagonal, really where the corner of the wall meets the ceiling. And taking a few breaths. So I can really feel it opening right, that space right underneath the armpit. If you reach back with your heel and reach forward with your fingertips, you can intensify and really feel that stretch even more. And then come back into your side bend. Let your arm come down. Go ahead and pivot yourself back to the front. And again, just notice what the hips feel like. Let's take a little stand and just have a little walk around your chair, noticing how that feels for your hips, for your torso. Give the legs a little bit of a shake here. And then we'll come to just having your chair to one side for a moment. You're going to firmly plant one foot. Let's start with the right foot into the floor here. So you want to think about that foot being right underneath you, almost as if you only had one leg to support you. So really feel like it's right underneath where you are, so that you could just start to slowly lift your left heel away, maybe even hovering that left foot away from the floor a little bit. Always feel free to use something for support if this doesn't feel very stable. And then we're going to start to lift up through the right toes. So, onto the right toes, lifting through your heel. Take a big deep breath and slowly lower down. We're going to do 3 lifts on this side. 3 more. So we're lifting up through the heel, slowly lowering down. Last 2 to go. See how your balance is this morning. Last one. You're lifting up. Beautiful. And then lower that down. We're going to now take both of your feet together. You're going to pivot out with your toes so that your knees and your toes are now pointing out to the sides. You're going to have a little bend of your knees, and you're going to keep your heels together as you lift up through the heels. Start to straighten out the legs with the heels lifted. Keep the heels together and slowly lower down. 2 more like that. Bending the knees, lifting through the heels. Keep those heels connected. Straighten out the legs and then lower down. Really make sure that your penthouse suite is reaching up towards, so you have the best view possible out from the top. Slowly lower down. And then bring your feet apart. Switch your chair over to the other side so that you can really think about grounding down now through your left foot, lifting through the heel, hovering that right foot away, and doing a few 4 lifts and lowers through your left heel. Slowly lowering down, 2 more to go. Make sure you're growing tall here. We're not collapsing anywhere. Last time. Beautiful. Now feet together, toes apart, heels together. We're going to lift up through the heels first of all, bend through the knees, and then lower the heels down. So again, your heels stay connected the whole time as you're lifting, and then lowering. 2 more to go. Lift through the heels, keep them connected. Bend the knees over the toes, lower the heels, and then straighten. Last time. Good, excellent. Just shake those legs out. Have another little walk around. Notice what the feet feel like, the hips feel like, the legs feel like. And then bring your chair back to the center of the room so you can sit down into it. Or if you want to create your little nest onto the floor with your cushions, do whatever feels comfortable for you. I'm going to sit into my chair again this morning. So I can just start to shut down my eyes and start to really settle in on focusing on my thoughts and on my body scan. So we're going to start at the crown of the head with this body scan. Just starting to notice any sensations there. Any sensations that maybe you didn't notice were there before. So we're not looking at thoughts at this moment. What we're looking for is what's going on actually inside of the body. So inside the crown of the head. What do you notice going on there? And then scan on down through the face, past the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. Is there maybe a lightness or a heaviness? Maybe you feel a tingling sensation. Just notice what you're feeling, what's going on for you this morning. And then scan on down through the sides of the head, past the ears. Scan on down through the back of the head, past the back of the skull, back of the neck, front of the neck. Noticing any sensations as you come down to the shoulders. Any tension, any lack of tension, pain, maybe an absence of pain. Maybe your shoulders feel gentle and light. Scanning on down through to notice your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, and your hands. Scanning down from the chest, through the abdomen to the belly, then back up through the spinal column, and down again through the upper back, the mid-back, and the lower back. Just noticing any sensations that are happening there for you this morning. Scanning on down through the thighs, to the knees, past the lower legs into the feet. Again, just being aware of any sensations. Do your feet feel heavy onto the floor underneath you? Do they feel quite light? Can you feel anything down there through your 10 toes? And then bring your awareness right back to the breath coming in through the nose and out through the nose. Just spending some time letting your thoughts settle so that you can spend the next 5 minutes of silence really just focusing completely on the breath coming in through the nose and out through the nose. And if you want to use your count of 10, 1 to 10, and then back around to 1 again to help you stay on track, feel free to do that, and we'll start that silence now. And just bringing your awareness slowly back into the space around you. Maybe feeling the textures around you with your fingers. Maybe circling the wrists, circling the shoulders a few times. And finally, just opening the eyes, take the arms all the way up to the ceiling. Maybe take your gaze and your breastbone as well. Nice big deep breath and exhale, just slowly lowering the arms. Ready for the rest of your weekend. Hopefully you have a lovely day, and I will see you back here bright and early at 7:30 tomorrow. Until then.